all of us have the luxury of owning a private self. Would you agree? But this luxury, if you investigate it, if you start looking for that self, so you look at the body, then you go deeper and you go deeper, and then it's like a fathomless depth. Would you agree? Can't find the self. So you hold on to a thought and think maybe that's yourself, but then it passes. You try to hold on to your body, but it's changing every moment. Then who are you? And the Vedas want to inform you that actually each of you does have an outer being which is unique to you, but actually if you look for its common center, if you look for what is your common, what is your deeper self, interestingly, it's not exclusive to you. At your deeper level, we are all sharing that same self. Just sit with it. So each one of us here in this planet, in this universe, including animals, plants, and actually even inanimate things like rocks and mountains, we are all sharing a common self. So at the deepest level, there is nothing but pure existence, existence bliss, which is ourself. At the outer level, we play around and have these little unique bubbles. Hello, bubbles. Hello, bubbles. Hello, bubble. So, in a bit, when I will ask Bubble Shreyas for water, I should ideally say that all of existence is thirsty. But for convenience, I shall say Bubble Shunya is thirsty. So will all of existence bring water for all of existence? Thank you. All of existence wishes to experience hot water.
All of existence will bring that.
So just smile right now and open your arms. Even if you touch your neighbor, you're only touching your own self. I am all of this existence. And then this is the bubble. That's it. So this is what is known in Sanskrit as mithya, a myth. Interesting thing about a myth is that it can change. And it's a fun part. Myth is not committed to being all of existence. So at your core, you are a universal being. At your surface, you are an individual. So you are an individual externally, but that individual is a myth. It's a mithya. Internally, you are universal. How does that feel? Does it feel good? To know that at your deepest level, you are connected to the all of existence, and all of existence, sunshine, mountains, joy, babies, power, creativity, and all gods, all of this get accessed from your true self right there. So as the bubble drops in, it greets this potent self, which is not exclusive to me, but is shared. So we are that connected. Yet, It's not possible all the time to say all of existence is thirsty, so I take on a name and I say Shunya is thirsty, or I use the word I at that time. So you can see that Shunya and I are very utilitarian, really, constructs superimposed over the allness. How many of you are ready to claim your allness, your extreme bigness? Really, it's there. So then what happens is, so therefore, but then it's interesting that when we don't know that. So when we're a little child and we are born, and try to remember that you were licking anything you wanted, you were hugging anyone you wanted, you were just ready to go home with anyone. It was preferential to have your mom or dad around, but you really didn't have any limits. Why? Because your bubble was not very well formed and you were all of existence. I remember lying at 5 or 6 years of age on the hot terrace in my home in India. We didn't have air conditioners or anything, so in summer we would lie under the moon. We would lay white sheets, we would wet the terrace with water. My mother had jasmine flowers growing, so we could have aroma of them, and we would lie under the mother moon so we could be cool. And I remember lying there and experiencing complete oneness with it. Now that was as a child. But I have found that even without spiritual knowledge, sometimes each one of us has moments of connecting to that allness, yes or no? Yes, yes, yes. Whether you were joyful or suffering, you had a moment of that. You know why? Because what is truth is always there. In fact, it is harder to maintain, lubricate, sustain the bubble. Because what is a myth needs constant manufacturing. It is harder to keep up with the outer persona. So we are constantly on the quest of a degree, a power, or some fame, or a partner, or a name, or a race, or an identity. But it's hard because you start maintaining this aspect, this part slips. You start taking care of this part or that part. But remove everything else, back to that shared self. But then each one of us, until we know that, claim that this bubble is me and I am so and so. And this claim, this acknowledgement of that exclusive aspect of the self, not knowing that there is not one there are not only so many, if there are 10,000 beings, there are 10,000 centers. There is only one center to all of us. So when we claim that, that becomes the ego, my dears, that claiming. It's useful to have a sense of I and a name, but we must remember that the truth is that we are at our innermost place an inherent part of a universal, amazing reality. And that reality is known as being with a capital B and self with a capital S. In Sanskrit, it is known as Brahman. Brahman comes from the root word Brih, which means that which is so big that it just keeps including everything. Now, that is why in the West, we try to look for ourselves outwards. And in the East, we simply started closing our eyes and wanting to fall inwards. I'll just come to you, Arjuna. We started falling inwards. And we kept going inwards, and then we found that everything, birth, death, God, bodies, beings, matter, elements, ultimately were all held together in divine consciousness. And that became the God for us. So Vishnu, Mahesh, Shiva, we keep looking upwards, but actually it's inwards. And to know this is really amazing, that I am actually privately, inwardly, my address is universe. I am a unity. Though outwards I have the luxury of individuality. But this individuality is really like an outer fruit, an outer layer of my true universality. And that is why, whether it is Bach or Beethoven, whether it's Einstein or Bill Gates, whether it is a Gayatri or a Shreya, anybody, when we are ultimately have nowhere to go, and we just stop searching, and even if we are crying or laughing, ultimately the solution comes from within. Teacher can talk and talk and talk, but ultimately something reveals itself from within. Would you agree? So all inventions, all music, all philosophy, all arithmetic, all science, all romance, all love, even all hatred and evilness, everything is emerging because this all is all. Are you with me? So, you've heard this. Imagine this. Imagine what this means for you. That the outer individuality is then really a construct. It's mithya. It is constructed out of the body. It is constructed about a few thoughts called the mind, few beliefs called the intellect, body, mind, and intellect, BMI, and that's it. So what dies? This mithya, this story dies, but the existence remains. And this existence can, more bubbles, new bubbles, but the pure existence remains. So there is really no true death and no true birth. So imagine this beautiful existence on which is superimposed these bubbles. And when a bubble knows it's a bubble, it's called an awakened bubble. Are you an awakened bubble? When you think you're only a bubble, then you are an ignorant bubble, that is all. This is the path of Jnana Yoga. Remain a bubble, but be awakened to it.